Hey guys, welcome back to another video. For this week, I want to talk about YouTube, specifically YouTube history. And to be even more specific, I want to talk about a certain time in YouTube's history where edited videos of classic video games, cartoon series, and even movies and songs themselves used to be edited all the time. And we used to call these types of videos something by the name of YTPs. Or, if you want to know what that acronym really stands for, it stands for YouTube Poop. YouTube Poop. This used to be right behind me. This type of genre usually included things like sentence mixing or video editing. Sometimes you would literally sentence mix things like songs or movies, video games, TV shows. And nowadays we usually call these just editing. We usually call it editing, or even nowadays we call the modern day equivalent of meme editing. But I want to just talk about the good old days of when YouTube Poops really reigned supreme here on YouTube, and some of the people who, in my opinion, contributed greatly to the YouTube Poop community. Don't get me wrong, it still exists. The YouTube Poop community is still out there, and it's still very active if you can find it. I find it a lot. I still find it quite a lot, and it's about as good as it used to be, for at least in my view. But it's just not nearly as prevalent. If anything, it's basically this underground it's basically an underground community that is just it used to be one of the main attractions of the platform, and now it's nothing more than an afterthought to many of the newer viewers here on YouTube. So I want to talk about the golden days, or at least the olden days, of YouTube Poops. Let's get started. Before I officially get into this topic, I want to just quickly clarify one thing. And I just want to say that this is not a video of me showing like, oh, this is when the very first YouTube Poop came out, and this is when the very last YouTube Poop came out, and this is what it used to be back in the day versus what it used to be nowadays. I know that almost completely defeats the purpose of this video, but the real purpose of me exploring the good old days, or so-called good old days of YouTube Poops, is to set the scene about which in particular YouTube Poops, as well as much of the culture surrounding the genre itself, help set for future generations. YouTube Poops are not only still around today, but I'd argue that many of the more modern ones are just as good as some of the more classics. I know that may be a hot take in and of itself, but I swear there are YouTube Poops I consider to be very good, and yet they were only made just recently, not back in the 2000s or the early 2010s or even the mid 2010s. We're talking about as recently as maybe even just a few months ago here on YouTube in 2022. So with that officially out of the way, let's begin. There is a variety of ways to go about this subject, and a variety of ways to really tackle just all of this I've written on the board. This took me a little bit of research because I really wanted to nail down some of the main contributors, whether they for YouTube Poop creators. I wanted to nail down the main contributors in my view, and I wanted to nail down the main cultural aspects that some of these YouTube Poops, especially in the earlier stages, like the early 2010s. Sorry, not the early 2010s, the mid 2000s. Although I guess you could say that much of what is on the board here also applies to the early 2010s, but it really evolved with each creator. I want to start with YouTube Poop creators themselves. Who were the big names in the genre? There's quite a lot that unfortunately I can't fit on the board here. I know it sounds like a laughable statement, but it's true. If I were to try and fill in every single name in the YouTube Poop genre that really helped fuel the industry, we would not only be here all day, I wouldn't even have enough on my board to write down for anything else other than just the creators. So let's just stick to people who, in my opinion, really deserve to stick out. And we'll start with EmperorLemon. EmperorLemon is by far one of the most talented individuals to ever grace YouTube. In my opinion, his editing is right up there with Internet Historian, and he can tell a hell of a compelling story in the same way that someone like Mr. Ballin can. But when it came to his YouTube poops, he didn't start off as as many of you may know nowadays, he didn't start off as a storyteller, or at least someone who did documentary style YouTube videos. Instead, what he used to do was YouTube poops. He used to do YouTube poops all the time. So in the link in the descriptions down below is not a playlist, excuse me. There are multiple links in the description down below to some of his all-time greatest hits. Although not on the board, I've already mentioned that EmperorLemon has a gold mine of old YouTube poops that he has created. And again, they're all in the description down below. But some of the more impactful and more good old day style of YouTube poops that people like NP Carlson, CS188, Mobro Studios, Grand Day, and Flying Kitty have made, well, there's actually quite a lot behind the Flying Kitty arc in particular. Both Grand Day and Flying Kitty used to make YouTube poops before they became more meme-oriented with their future content. The content that I bet all of you are familiar with today. Flying Kitty in particular. But CS188 has been a long time, if not lifetime, YouTube poop creator. NP Carlson really got his career, in my view, his career off the ground in the YouTube poop community with his Five Nights at Foster's video, which of course was a mashup between Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Five Nights at Freddy's smashed together. Mobro Studios is perhaps the most legendary name on this list. Even more legendary than EmperorLemon for one in particular reason. The grand master of all YouTube poops. Skellington's Revenge. I remember when that came out. Now, it's not just Skellington's Revenge. It's also other YouTube poops that are like it that came from him, like Candace Opens an Interdimensional Portal. But neither of those two YouTube poops have ever really been conventional YouTube poops. I think one time he described them as action poops in a Q&A video, although I have not revisited his channel for this video, so I'll let you guys know in post-production if that's what he referred to them as. Although, one other thing I guess I should say, that I would be willing to say about Skellington's Revenge in particular, which is his crown jewel, is that it took him, I think it was like 2 full years to complete just one YouTube poop because Vegas Pro kept crashing on him. Now, EmperorLemon, again, as usual, links are in the description for his videos down below. CS188 is on this list because he has long dedicated himself to the craft of YouTube poops. NP Carlson is on this list because he started off the kick trend of making YouTube poops out of more popular, more modern, trendy topics instead of more olden YouTube poop specific topics like many of the things that are on this side of the board that I will get to in a second. Grand Day and Flying Kitty both started off making YouTube poops. Flying Kitty in particular, his YouTube poops, I guess in many ways, could be considered somewhat similar to Mobro's, except there really wasn't any crossovers, but it had advanced editing skills compared to most of what that day and age that he started his career off had to offer. Although his YouTube poops mostly consisted of GTA San Andreas content. So it was also one of those more unconventional topics instead of, I guess, a more basic idea or basic topic to base a YouTube poop off of. Where the good old days of YouTube poops really comes into play isn't actually the creators, as you might have guessed, based on my ramblings about, some of these names on the board here. It's actually the overall topics that they would parody over the years. For example, if it was video games, there were one of two go-tos. Hotel Mario and Link, the Faces of Evil. Gold mines. It's the only word that can describe both of them. Gold mines. You had endless source material. Endless source material if you did either of these games. If you did standalone YouTube poops on just one of them, you have like at least a 10-15 minute video. If you did a crossover, you probably have like half an hour, probably almost an hour worth of material. They were so bad. The animations are so bad. The voice acting's so bad. Everything about these two games are bad. But they're legendarily bad. They're so legendarily bad, they're legendarily good. It's just... I remember watching really old, like probably 2006, 2007 YouTube poops when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I was like, oh, this came out a few years ago. And I would usually be left, just scratching my head like, yeah. I was an 8, 9-year-old autistic kid. What was I supposed to think of other than I just went on an acid trip? It's just... look, the point is, these two video games, in my opinion, are so legendarily bad. They're legendarily good, and I wouldn't recommend actually, playing them on your own time. Just watch some old gameplay footage that isn't already doctored by YouTube poop references, and you should be good. When it came to music, for some bizarre reason, the only song I can remember being frequently used, not just in YouTube poops, but also for tutorial videos, back when people used to use Windows Movie Maker, is Finger Eleven's Paralyzed. It's literally the only song I remember being used in a YouTube poop, and I can't say which one because I just don't have that much of a good memory. I only remember there used to be a trend on YouTube where this song would take over the whole platform. But other than this one song, I can't think of anybody else. When it came to individuals, there's actually a second one I would argue. Michael Rosen was the most well-known and also most used individual for YouTube poops. Another one I would argue, at least, is Billy Mays. Billy Mays was also a frequent target of YouTube poops, especially in light of his death. Now, the community would make tons of tributes to him in the form of YouTube poops after he had died. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't write this on the board earlier, but it kind of just slipped my mind at the time when I was writing down all this stuff. But this section, these 3 sections right here, albeit they're very short sections, but these 3 sections alone are what I would really describe as the good old days of YouTube poops. And as far as what all of these creators have in common, it's that they made YouTube poops that exceeded the boundaries of just your standard YouTube poops of dinners. I hope she made lots of spaghetti and dinners and, they did more than just that. They made, action poops. They made literal storylines out of YouTube poops, out of random clips. Again, these were like meme videos before meme videos became what they are today. And to be honest, I'm thinking about doing a video on, meme videos, specifically, well-edited, story-driven meme videos in the future. And I'm thinking about arguing that YouTube poops are the beginning of this very long-term trend of meme videos, story-driven meme videos being its predecessor. But again, in my opinion, YouTube poops will forever remain on the platform. They may not have been as popular as they were back in the old days, probably like, let's say from 2006 to probably 2014, 2015, but they're still out there, and there's a ton of great ones. Once again, if you just take a quick look in the description below, there are several links to not just EmperorLemon YouTube poops, but arguably other much better YouTube poops like Jallerbo, who has been controversial with YouTube. However, he has not been controversial with the YTP community, or she. Excuse me. I don't know. I thought it was a he. I think it's a she now that I am thinking this over. But regardless, Jalabo is one of the best modern day YouTube poopers out there, and by far he/she would be a it's a great recommendation to head on over to their channel and watch their content, if any still exists at all. I don't know how that whole drama between them and YouTube went down, so that's going to have to do it for this video. I've been ranting a bit too long on this topic, and I feel like this would be at least a nice stoppage point for today's topic. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next weekend, and I hope to see you all very soon. See ya. Lamp oil, rope, bombs. You want it? It's yours, my friend, as long as you have enough rubies. Sorry, Link, I can't give credit. Come back when you're a little richer.